There are 1,000 different ways to set up your training program with different sets, reps, methods, styles, everything in between. But I'm going to share with you something a little bit more minute and a little bit more detailed, and that's actually how you're performing the reps. So I'm going to be sharing with you these 6 best different types of reps that you need to be doing inside of your programs to get the most out of your athletic training, to become stronger, faster, more explosive. So I'm Coach Nick Lyden, Certified Strength and Conditioning Coach, owner of Athlete Academy and the Peak Performance Program, and let's dive right into it so you know how to use these reps, in which cases, for which exercises, and so you can get the results that you want. So we're going to start off with the simplest one, and that is just your normal, traditional style of rep, right? We're thinking a nice, smooth, controlled down, a nice, smooth, controlled up. This is really great for beginners and people who are working to learn on the technique, and it's really about just mastering the basics with your normal type rep. And you do get a really good hypertrophy and strength stimulus from doing this with the controlled amount of reps. You can build a lot of strength doing normal reps. I did for my first 10 years of my life. I didn't even know what these other ones were, and I got really strong with it, because when you're just starting out, the biggest thing for you to improve your performance is going to be increasing that strength, increasing movement quality in your technique, and doing normal traditional type of reps. We'll do that for you, but let's get to the fun stuff. The next one we're going to talk about is the eccentric, or the negative type reps. So negative reps are really great, not only from like a rehab and improving some joint stability, some muscular strength, but they also allow you to really work on your muscles' capacity to absorb and handle force. So this is really important for you athletes out there. And I've found when I've added in eccentric or negative type reps, my strength has increased, my overall power has increased, because I took care of the underlying principles behind the force production, and that was the eccentric training. Now, I will say, if you are trying to build muscle, eccentric or negative training is going to get you so extremely sore. It is insane. So buckle up your seatbelt and get ready, because it does add quite a tremendous amount of mechanical tension and metabolic stress to the muscles, and so you will get that DOMS effect when doing the eccentric. So one way we utilize the eccentrics or negatives inside of the Peak Performance Program in some of our programs is utilizing the 6-12-25 method. So we typically do this method in our foundational or our muscle building phase, and all that really is that you choose 3 compound movements, one for 6 reps, that's heavy, one for 12, that's your hypertrophy range, and then one for 25 that you're just trying to accumulate a lot of metabolic stress. And we'll do an eccentric for 4 seconds on the first movement, then 2 to 3 for the next, and then a 1 to 2 eccentric for the last. So almost like those normal rep ranges. So eccentrics are amazing. Again, if you have some deficiencies, especially in greater ranges of motion, like the bottom of a squat or something, you can really add these eccentrics in to help improve your overall strength, movement quality, coordination, and have great comeback from an injury, or preventing injury from them before moving on to, say, some other type of rep ranges. Now, the next one I'm going to get into is called pulsing. So maybe you've seen this on the body weight freaking Instagram thing, where they're doing a little squat and a half pulsing. That's not really what I'm talking about here. That's another way you could do it, but for athletic performance, it's a lot more intentional with what we're doing. When I'm talking about pulsing, I'm almost talking about speed reps, okay? So you're trying to get in and out of a range of motion as fast as you possibly can to work the elastic qualities of that muscle tendon unit and of the joint. So the speed reps is going in and out, pulsing as fast as you can. It not only does it help that muscle coordination, muscle sequencing, timing, all of that stuff, it also works on what's known as your amerization phase. So that's when you're going from that eccentric to the concentric portion of a lift. And we can get in and out of that quicker. We're going to be more explosive overall. This will help your rate of force development. It does look a little funny when you're doing it because the weight is lighter. You are moving fast. You typically are staying in a small range of motion, but it can have huge benefits for you with that, because it also will help increase your central nervous drive and improve your overall nervous system, and how that nervous system can help to produce more force. And we typically will use these for either a time set, or we'll do for like a given repetitions, but typically the repetitions are going to be a little bit higher than your normal like power type training. We'll typically maybe go 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe up to like 15, or use a time set of 10 to 15 reps with it. So super beneficial. We typically use them and when we're transitioning out of like our strength into more of a power, and we're going to like a velocity kind of like peaking part of our training. And we don't use these, you don't use them a lot, right? You can use them 1 to 2, maybe 3 exercises per week, but having them in there will help you overall, and you will see some noticeable improvements. Now the next one is called C.A.T, okay, and I'm gonna mess it up, but it's Compensatory Acceleration Training. I think I got it right there. But all this means is that when you're using like a sub-maximal load, so it's not like a 1 rep max, but you're doing like 75, 80, 85% of your 1 rep max. Typically what happens when you're lifting is that it's the hardest at the bottom end of that range of motion. So it's the hardest at the bottom, it gets easier and easier as you go up. And if you're using a light load, as an athlete, you may tend, or just normal in general, if you're trying to develop some strength and power, this is what this is really good for, you will kind of lackadaisically like not finish out the reps as hard, like as fast as you can. So the C.A.T is meant to help you accelerate through the entire range of motion, add some more follow through to produce more power. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna continue to accelerate that movement as fast as humanly possible, as fast as you can through the entire range of motion. So as it gets easier, continue to accelerate faster and faster and faster to increase your overall power production. Now, these type of reps do require you to have a mastery of the technique, to have a lot of strength and stability in the movement that you are doing, because if not, you could put yourself at increased risk for injury. So make sure that you are dialed in before you move into some of this C.A.T type training. Another one that I wanted to mention, where I forgot the G right here, is accommodating resistance. So this is like a style of C.A.T training almost, or the rep range, which you're adding a band or a chain to the barbell or the movement, and as you get into those end ranges of motion where the weight's getting lighter, it's easier to move, there's tension from the band or weight added from the chain that will add more resistance as it gets easier. When you're doing these, you're gonna have to continue to accelerate up the movement, and it's a good mental cue for you to have to continue to accelerate all the way through it, because if you don't, the tension is gonna get harder and harder and harder, and if you're not accelerating, you are not gonna be able to get it all the way up. We typically will use both of these at sub-maximal loads. You can be anywhere from like 40 up to 60, 70%, say, of your squat or bench, whatever it is. You'll have to play around with the percentages a little bit. And typically when I'm doing these, they are more power strength rep ranges. So anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe up to 6, but typically not over that for a few reps. We typically will utilize the accommodating resistance during our conjugate method, where we utilize it's inside of my CCC method. I have a video about that where I break that down. But essentially we're using three different types of methods, okay? We're using contrast or conjugate as an overall structure, which has 2 max effort days and then 2 dynamic effort days where we're using accommodating resistance. And then we have clustered and contrast sets mixed in with that to really provide the most amount of strength and power development during that phase, and it works really, really well. So we'll use that during our strength and power phase after we've gotten out of our foundational kind of hypertrophy phase, where we're trying to maximize strength and power when we're utilizing the accommodating resistance during those dynamic effort days. The last one is isometrics. Don't sleep on isometrics. They are freaking amazing, okay? There are 2 that I really want to talk about, and those are yielding isometrics and overcoming isometrics, and both have a critical role in improving your overall performance. So a yielding isometric is just where you're just trying to maintain a position and hold it as long as you can and kind of fight gravity from making changes in your body. So think like a standard like wall sit, right? That would be a yielding isometrics. We use some specific ones around the ankles, knees, and hips to improve the overall joint stability, muscular strength in those specific ranges. So when you're using isometrics, typically there's like a 15 to 10 degree transfer over into that angle of where you can benefit from that strength. So if you struggle at the bottom of a squat, it may be beneficial for you to utilize some yielding isometrics that are in that same deep range of motion. One that we typically use, I call it a sprinter lunge, where we're on the ball of our foot, our knees over our toe, we're holding on to dumbbells, they suck, so we're working both our ankle strength, stiffness, stability, and then we're also getting that deep drive acceleration position, which will translate over into a sprint and help you overall with the bottom portion of a squat. Those are great, but they can be done for multiple different body parts and different areas. Now, overcoming isometrics, this really maximizes that force and power, or not power, but maximal force production, central nervous drive to the muscles, and it is moving against an immovable object. It's creating maximal amount of force against an immovable object. So we'll typically use these like a barbell quarter squat, half squat, where we're literally trying to like lift the rig off the ground. And then a couple of other ones that I really like are a plantar flexed triple extension, overcoming isometric, where we are pressing our foot into the ground. We're trying to mimic that top end speed sprint position of transferring the force. We're not trying to let the heel drop. We're trying to create a lot of ankle stiffness with that. So these are the best type of reps that you need to be adding into your training program and overall design to help you increase your athletic performance and explosive power. And if you want to learn more about how we utilize these, check out the links below. And as always, like, follow, subscribe, and train hard, and I'll see you in the next video.